Chapter 1 An Avenger's Sacrifice. What did you say? I am no longer of use to Zabuza. I am a broken tool that has outlived its usefulness. Naruto stammered as he looked at Haku in disbelief. That's crazy. You're just a tool to him, he don't even care about you. Haku nodded. I know. Naruto snarled at Haku and lunged at him. I won't kill you, but I will make you pay for what you did to Sasuke. Haku smiled emptily as he pulled several saban needles from his cloak. Very well. Don't hold back. Naruto charged with a kunai, swiping at Haku, which he blocked using a needle. Naruto then jumped back and forced himself to form a cross with his middle and index finger on each hand. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Releasing several shadow clones with his remaining chakra, Naruto charged Haku once more, this time fighting with his clones. Is that the best you can do, Naruto? Haku threw several saban, and each one hit its target, but the real Naruto had vanished. Haku looked around, trying to figure out where Naruto hid, then he felt a sharp pain in both shoulders. What? Haku looked up and saw two Narutos land beside him. They had snuck out in the clone ambush, then soared down onto Haku with a kick in each shoulder blade. Very impressive, Naruto. One of the two Narutos vanished in a cloud of smoke, leaving the real one to look at Haku with sadness. How could you fight to kill a man, simply because Zabuza needs the money? You're better than that. You're a shinobi. Have some pride, he yelled angrily. Haku just smiled. Wouldn't you do anything for the ones you care about? Naruto trembled as Haku stood up and charged at Naruto. Sorry, Haku, but I won't let you die here, no matter how messed up you are, he said as a tear dripped from his eye. He slugged Haku in the stomach as he got in range, and the mist nin slumped over onto the ground. Naruto then looked up as he heard a scream. Slowly the mist around him cleared, and he saw his sensei with a hand stabbed through the demon of the mist's chest. Kakashi-sensei! Naruto yelled as he ran over. Very clever, Zabuza. You actually managed to shift your weight enough to move the attack, but it won't be enough. That wound will kill you, you know that. The ninja in question chuckled. Killed at the hands of the copy ninja. I guess you have something else to brag about at Kakashi? Kakashi removed his hand, and Zabuza began to cough rapidly as blood dripped from his chest. Naruto continued to run over, completely unaware of the danger he was in. Kakashi looked up, eyes wide. Naruto, get down! But it was too late, an arrow was headed right for him. Sakura looked over at Naruto in terror. Naruto! As the genin cringed, waiting for the worst, he looked up and saw he was unharmed. Then he saw a certain black-haired genin in front of him, an arrow lodged in between his shoulder and neck. Sasuke! Naruto yelled as his friend slumped down. That's the second time today I've taken a hit for you. Get it together, loser! At this, the Uchiha passed out. Naruto caught him and gently put him down on the ground. Then he looked up as he heard laughter. Zabuza, it looks like you failed me as well. A militia of hired goons stood before the Leaf Ninja and the Demon of the Mist. Look at you, a dog ready to be put down. The strange man laughed as he saw the wounded Mist Ninja. Then he looked at Haku. That little runt! He walked over and kicked the unconscious Haku. That's for nearly breaking my arm. A kunai buzzed right over the man's head, with Naruto holding back a stream of tears. Touch him again, and I'll kill you, he growled. Then he looked at Zabuza, who just stood there. And you? Are you going to let him do that to Haku? He would do anything for you, and you'll just let him be kicked around like that. Zabuza just sat there stammering as his bandaged covered face became covered in blood. Not much I can do at this point. Besides, Haku served his purpose. At this, Naruto took another kunai, turned it backwards, and threw it at Zabuza's head. You idiot! Haku would give his life for you. You're more important to him than his own life. Give him some respect. He's not just a tool, even if he thinks he is. Zabuza just listened to the genin as all of his memories with Haku began to flood his brain. Haku is alive, and breathing. If he were awake, he would have taken that hit for you. He would have died for you. Give him some honor. Show him some kindness. Naruto continued. Zabuza's face was covered in tears. Enough, brat. Huh! Your words cut deep, deeper than any blade. With one bite, Zabuza tore off his bandages and looked at Naruto. Give me a kunai. Naruto just nodded and tossed Zabuza another knife, which he caught in his mouth. Gato! You will pay for this! Zabuza ran through Gato's brigade of minions, killing half of them as he stabbed Gato in the chest. Burn in hell! He yelled as he kicked Gato's body over the edge of the bridge. The rest of Gato's minions ran in terror of the demon, who then collapsed due to his coming death. Kakashi! He whispered. The copy ninja walked over to him and nodded. I understand. He immediately picked up Zabuza and brought him to Haku's side. He then looked up at Kakashi. Take care of him for me. What? He has no purpose now that I'm leaving. Give him a purpose, give him a reason to live, he whispered as he began to choke. Slowly blood pooled from his mouth, and his eyes glazed over. Kakashi looked away from Zabuza, and covered his Sharingan eye. He made sure nobody saw, but tears ran down from his face. Rest in peace, Zabuza Momochi. You've finally regained your honor, and died a man worthy of the title Shinobi, Kakashi said quietly as his remaining team members tended to Sasuke. Kakashi then looked at Tazuna. We must take him somewhere safe. Of course, we'll return to my residence at once, we'll worry about the bridge later, Tazuna said stiffly. The man didn't show it, but he was quite worried as well. Kakashi took Sasuke, and ordered Naruto and Sakura to carry Haku. Several days later, Sasuke was still unconscious. All the weaponry had been removed from his body, but he had lost a lot of blood, and his chances at survival were small. Nobody left his side, not even Kakashi. Then he awoke. Sakura looked on at Sasuke with great happiness. Sasuke! She yelled. Sasuke looked at her with a very strained look of joy. Hey! He looked at Naruto and chuckled. Loser, thanks. 'Cause of you I'll never get to fulfill my destiny. Now that man will get away with his crimes. Sakura looked at Sasuke in horror. Was he saying he was going to die? Sasuke? She asked, voice trembling. Naruto smashed his hand into the floor. I swear to you, Sasuke, I won't let him get away with what he did. I don't know who he is, and I don't know why you hate him, but whoever he is, I swear I'll kill him in your place, he said as tears dripped from his eyes. Only the Sharingan has a chance of killing him, loser, he whispered. Kakashi looked up. There is one way. Sasuke, we could do an eye transplant, Kakashi stated, quite serious. Eye transplant? He asked. If Naruto wants to beat this person, he'll need the Sharingan, you say. We could give him yours. However, we need your consent first. Sasuke smiled. Naruto, you better make sure you get him, 'cause if not, I swear I'll haunt you till the day you die, he sneered. Naruto smiled. I'll get him, Sasuke. Believe it. Sasuke just chuckled. What an idiot, he said as he passed out again. Sakura sat there crying. Sasuke. Don't leave, she cried. Naruto looked away, knowing this was all his fault. Kakashi sighed. He hasn't got much time left. His body's giving out, that's obvious. We'll need to hurry if we want to keep his eyes healthy enough to transplant, he said bluntly. He then looked over at Haku, who was still asleep, hugging the only thing he had left of Zabuza, his sword. Kakashi frowned. I should have known this mission was too dangerous. The first mission outside the village and already we lose a member. Sakura snapped and punched her sensei. How dare you, Kakashi-sensei! Sasuke is not going to die, she screamed. Kakashi was unfazed. His body is failing, it's only a matter of time before his heart gives out. Sakura, you better realize that soon, because from here on out it only gets worse, he explained coldly. Sakura sat there with tears in her eyes, and then glared at Naruto. "This is all your fault, you stupid idiot!" she screamed as she ran out of the room. Naruto looked up, very disheartened. "Sakura, I." Then he looked away as he saw she was gone. Kakashi shook his head in annoyance. "Naruto, just leave her be. When the time finally comes, I'll deal with her." Naruto looked at his sensei in disbelief. Kakashi was actually going out of his way to help him? He just nodded, clearly dumbfounded. Kakashi smiled enough to be seen through the mask. "Get packing, we need to leave as soon as possible. The sooner we get back to Konoha, the sooner we can do the eye transplant." Naruto nodded. He wanted to ask Kakashi how he knew so much about the eye transplant, but he already had his suspicions, and didn't feel like prying into his sensei's past. Naruto stood up and left the room to go pack, while Kakashi just watched the two sleeping ninja. "I just hope this doesn't make things worse for Naruto." He sighed as he looked down. He heard movement, and looked up to see Haku sitting up. "Oh, you're awake. Where am I?" he asked, clearly unnerved. Kakashi smiled. "You're in the home of bridge builder Tazuna. You've been sleeping for a few days now." Haku looked and saw Zabuza's sword beside him. What's this?" Kakashi looked away. "Zabuza's gone. He made me promise to look after you," he explained. Haku looked at him in disbelief. "How?" "Gato came, that's how. I'd already done enough damage, he was going to die anyway, but then Gato kicked you. With some taunting and harsh words from my student, Zabuza gave his all to send Gato where he belongs. I figured if you could have nothing else to remember Zabuza, you could have his blade. That sword is famous throughout the great nations, as was its wielder. Perhaps that legacy will live on in you," Kakashi said swiftly. Haku just looked at him, then at Sasuke. Before Haku even opened his mouth to speak, Kakashi explained. "He's dying, he doesn't have much time left. Only an actual medic corps team could save him now, and we're too far away from the land of fire to make it in time. He's got less than a week, probably at most 3 days." Haku looked away as Kakashi explained without even a hint of anger or sadness. "I see," Haku said quietly. Kakashi quickly pulled out his book and began to read. "Haku, was it? You should get some more rest, we'll be leaving soon." Haku looked up at Kakashi with confusion. "You're coming with us to Konoha. I promised Zabuza I'd look after you. You did no major harm to my team, and you have no record or mention in any bingo books. I believe the Hokage will allow it," he explained. Haku just nodded and laid back down, closing his eyes and allowing sleep to envelope him once more. The next morning erupted in chaos. Naruto had barged into the room and Sakura was screaming, while Kakashi just looked away. Haku looked over towards Sakura to figure out what was going on, then he saw Sasuke had passed on in his sleep the previous night. His face was paler than ever before, and Kakashi had checked when he woke up. The Uchiha had no pulse. Sasuke Uchiha was dead, and it was partly his fault. The guilt of seeing what he had helped cause panged his heart as he watched Sakura Haruno crying and hugging his body. "Sasuke, come back to me," she wailed. As Naruto grew closer and knelt down to Sasuke's body, Sakura hissed. "Back off, idiot! This is your fault to begin with!" And she bolted out of the room, and then Haku and Kakashi saw what they never thought they would see, tears on the face of Naruto Uzumaki. Perhaps it was Sakura's harsh reproach, perhaps it was seeing that his closest friend and greatest rival was dead and he felt guilt, or perhaps it was both, but Naruto was crying. Kakashi stood up and stormed out of the room, leaving Haku and Naruto with Sasuke's body. Haku felt he needed to comfort Naruto and looked at him. "I'm sorry," he said genuinely. Naruto didn't respond at first, but about 3 minutes later he looked at Haku with sadness in his eyes. "Thank you?" Kakashi had just about had his fill of Sakura's behavior. The girl clearly had a lot to learn, and a monstrous attitude that was quite unbefitting of a kunoichi. He found his female student outside of Tazuna's home, looking out at the ocean. Kakashi glared at her and snapped. You better get your ass in gear, Sakura, he said coldly. Sakura looked at him in shock and anger. Leave me alone. Kakashi walked over to her and pulled her to stand up. I'm your sensei, so you better listen to me. I'm tired of this damn fangirl obsession you have with Sasuke Uchiha. It's unbefitting of a kunoichi, and it's damn obnoxious. And Naruto is a member of your team, not an enemy, so don't you dare treat him like one. Sasuke died to protect Naruto, that is true, but how about you look at it as more than just losing your precious eye candy? Did you even think about why Sasuke did it? He did it to help a comrade. He should be honored for such. He was Kia, that is true, and he died honorably doing so. Remember what I told you in your training exercise. Those who don't follow orders are scum, those who abandon their friends are worse than scum. Sasuke was better than you in more ways than one. He died to help a friend, and you spit on that by blaming Sasuke's death on him. You're disrespecting Sasuke, and telling him his death was pointless in doing so. Get it together, Sakura. With that, Kakashi left, leaving Sakura to sit and think as she watched the ocean. The rest of the day was quite uneventful. Naruto was mostly silent, and Sakura didn't move from her spot all day, nor all night, as Kakashi's words echoed in her mind. The next day they set out, Kakashi taking the role of holding the valuable cargo they carried, the eyes of Sasuke Uchiha. Being placed in an ice-filled case, they would be preserved until they returned to Konoha, where Naruto would undergo surgery to have his eyes replaced with Sasuke's. Naruto and Haku took the role of making sure Sasuke's body was brought back safely. He would have a proper burial in Konoha, and would be named as a hero. The trip itself was peaceful, that much was a relief. It was the return to Konoha that was a problem, and Kakashi knew it would be. Once they had re-entered Konoha's gates, people began to stare as they saw Naruto Uzumaki, the most cheerful boy in the world, silent and grim, with Haku behind him as they carried a stretcher that had a white sheet on it. Ino Yamanaka was the first to react, leaving the flower shop as soon as she saw that Sasuke was missing. When she realized that, she immediately ran up and slapped Naruto, demanding to know what he did to Sasuke. Before he could even answer, and before anyone could even move, Ino was sent flying back several feet, blood pooling from her now broken nose. People then turned to see Sakura Haruno with her fist out, and tears pouring down her face. Shut it, Ino pig. If you ever badmouth one of my teammates again, I'll make you regret it. Ino flipped and was ready to attempt to beat Sakura down right then and there, but she was pulled back by her own teammates, and then her own sensei stepped in front of her. Enough, Ino, Asuma stated bluntly. Ino immediately backed away, and they continued in towards the hospital. Several days later, Sasuke Uchiha's funeral was held. All attended, Naruto, Sakura, Haku, and Kakashi at the forefront. As the service ended, and all lined up to pay their last respects to the Uchiha before he was laid to rest, crying could be heard throughout the assembled. Some of it was friends, colleagues, and some were just fangirls who wanted to know why he had to leave them behind. Naruto went first. He wanted to pay his respects and leave before Sasuke's fangirls appeared. He looked at Sasuke's pale body in the evening moon, and smiled lightly. I promise, Sasuke, I'll fulfill your vengeance, he said quietly. From there, he dropped a flower, and left swiftly. Some days later, Kakashi stood at the memorial stone, looking at a single name that was carved in, Obito Uchiha. What are you doing out here? Lord Hokage wanted to see you, a soft voice asked the Jounin. Kakashi smiled as Naruto walked over and stood beside him, gazing at the newest name on the stone, Sasuke Uchiha. Just talking to an old friend. And you? The same? Kakashi asked. Naruto just continued to gaze at the stone, and his pale blue eyes turned to the blood-red gaze of the Sharingan eye. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Chapter 2: The Reject's Transformation. Kakashi looked at Naruto with a smile. Lord Hokage wants to see me, eh? He asked. His student just nodded. It's about Haku. I think he's finally coming to a decision about what to do with him, he explained. Kakashi nodded and turned back to the memorial stone. We'll talk later. he said quietly as he turned and walked away. Naruto just looked back at the memorial stone and smiled as he deactivated the Sharingan. I promise you, Sasuke, I'll make your sacrifice worthwhile. He then turned and walked off toward the village. Kakashi walked up to the Hokage tower and sighed. This is going to be a long day, he said to himself as he passed by Genma. About time you got here, Kakashi. Lord Hokage's been looking all over for you. The council's called an emergency meeting to discuss the mist ninja you returned with, he explained. Kakashi just groaned. Great, looks like I'm in for a long afternoon. He sighed out as he walked into the council room, slamming it behind him. Naruto had spent several hours staring at the monument before him, not moving an inch. He sighed and heard a branch snap. Who's there? He asked in a very unconcerned tone. The pink-haired kunoichi of his team stepped into the sunlight with a soft smile. Hey! Naruto didn't move. What are you doing here? Sakura walked over and stood beside him. I came to visit Sasuke. Not to mention I was hoping to find you, she said with a smile. Naruto looked over at her. Guess you're here to yell at me too, how this is all my fault, how I killed a genius, he said in a swift monotone. As he said this, he turned back to the monument, and when he did, Sakura saw a deep cut in his cheek. What happened? She asked in horror. Naruto just continued to stare at the monument. Sasuke's fangirls, that's all, he said, clearly unconcerned. Sakura stared at him in terror. Fangirls? It looks like they tried to kill you. They did. Sakura just gasped and backed away. They know Sasuke's death was my fault, and one got overzealous and ran at me with a kunai. She got me pretty well, eh? He asked with a chuckle. Sakura just stared at him. What are you laughing at? You need to get to the hospital. As she said this, she saw the cut was slowly closing. Naruto just continued to look at the monument. This isn't the first thing they've done to me. Ino's already started getting people together to try and get me. I've been attacked with kunai and shuriken, not to mention pelted with stones too. I won't be dying anytime soon though, he explained. Sakura looked at him with great sadness. Naruto had always been kind to Sakura, as annoying as she thought he was. He never cared that she insulted him, and he'd always sworn to become stronger. Now here he was, ignoring attempts on his life, making it seem like it was nothing. Sakura was ready to cry. Whether she admitted it or not, she needed Naruto. He was always there for her, whether she wanted it or not. Before she said a word, Naruto cut off her thoughts. I'm fine, Sakura. It seems like the Shinigami himself heard my promise to Sasuke, and he intends to make sure I keep it. Until then, I can't die, he said with a faint smile. In truth, Naruto had heard the stories of the nine-tailed fox, Kyubi no Yoko. And from what Mizuki had told him, be it illegal or not that he disclosed it, he knew Mizuki told him the truth, and he knew that in all actuality, it was Kyubi that kept him alive, not his promise to Sasuke. He looked over at Sakura and smiled. I'm gonna get going. Hopefully I'll be able to buy some new clothes before the fangirls find me, he said with a sigh as he began to walk off. Hopefully? Sakura asked in confusion. Naruto looked back and nodded. Some of the stores mysteriously close as soon as I get near them now. I wonder why, he asked with a clearly sarcastic tone as he left. Sakura bolted after him. Naruto, wait! She yelled. Naruto stopped and looked back. Sakura looked over at him and smiled. Let me go with you, after all, you've got zero fashion sense as a ninja, she said with a laugh. Meanwhile, inner Sakura was pumping her fists with great fury. If anyone gets near Naruto, I'll crush him! The extremely unstable inner psyche of Sakura yelled. Naruto smiled. He always felt more comfortable with more people in his company. Sure, I'd like that a lot. And they walked off together. As Naruto entered the village, he received a lot of cold glares, and a lot of people began to shut doors and windows when he passed by. Sakura could hardly stand it. Was he such a monster because Sasuke died for him? As far as she was concerned, people didn't understand anything, and she began to feel a little sick inside knowing she was like that less than a month ago. As Naruto approached a door leading to a ninja gear store, it immediately shut in his face. Yells of, "Get lost, monster!" were heard behind the door. Sakura twitched almost invisibly to the naked eye. "Let me at him! Get over here, you bastard! I'll kill you! I'll kill you!" Inner Sakura roared. Sakura, meanwhile, kept her temperament in control and just smiled at Naruto. "Come on, let's go somewhere else." Naruto nodded and they moved towards another store, which also slammed its doors shut. Sakura began to lightly growl, which Naruto misinterpreted as a groan. "It's okay, Sakura, I was expecting this anyway," he said with a smile. Inner Sakura was attempting to lash out even more. "Oh, come the fuck on. This is downright ridiculous. If we can't get into a store soon, I swear I'm gonna kill someone." Sakura kept her composure and led Naruto to yet another store. Sakura saw the owner draw close to the door and sneered. "Oh fucking no! Not this time, bitch!" Inner Sakura roared as Sakura quickened her step, and as the clerk began to slam the door, Sakura caught it. "Excuse me, but it's still working hours, isn't it? If that's the case, we're coming in, right, Naruto?" She looked back and asked Naruto sweetly. Inner Sakura pumped her fist and laughed. "In your face, bitch! Sha!" The shop clerk backed away, be it in fear of Sakura, or fear of Naruto, either of the genin was sure, but he grumbled as he walked back behind the counter and sat there, glaring at Naruto and Sakura. "Whatever, but make it quick, we haven't got all day." Naruto nodded as he began to look around at the clothing selection. This was actually what he had been hoping for, a lot of black. Sakura walked over to him and smiled. "What are you looking for, Naruto?" Naruto just continued to look through the clothes as he answered. "Something that actually works for a ninja. Let's face it, I can't be a ninja of Konoha and parade around wearing Kill Me Orange Dot," he said with a chuckle. Sakura smiled as he continued to look at the clothing. She was amazed at how much Naruto had seemed to mature in the last month, even if it was only because of a tragedy. Kakashi slammed his fist down as he shot a glare up at the council, Sarutobi beside him. "What do you mean execution?" The lead councilman stared at Kakashi. "You know the rules, we cannot allow missing Nin into our ranks. He isn't even registered in bingo books. He's alone and afraid. Have some compassion, councilman," Kakashi yelled. The councilman stared at Kakashi. "If such an event were to occur, and then he betrayed us after learning our secrets, returning to the Mist Village." Kakashi stomped his foot and glared at the council. "He never swore loyalty to the Mizukage. His loyalty was to Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the mist, who abandoned the village hidden in the mist almost 10 years ago. He caused the death of a leaf shinobi." Kakashi glared at the councilman with the intensity of a rabid dog. "How dare you! Sasuke Uchiha died from a wound caused by an arrow. If you wish to blame Haku for Sasuke's death, then blame me as well for allowing Sasuke to be in such danger." Sarutobi watched with great sadness as one of his finest jounin stood in defiance of the council. However, he was saddened not by Kakashi, but by the council's inability to understand compassion. "We cannot allow him to be enrolled as a leaf shinobi. I gave him my word," Kakashi roared. "I swore to Zabuza Momochi in his last moments that I would look out for and watch over Haku in his absence. Even you, councilman, have the honor to fulfill a man's dying request, do you not?" The councilman and Kakashi sat deadlocked in a glare for the next several minutes. "You just don't get it, do you, Kakashi?" Naruto had finally gathered some clothes to try on, and when he came out, Sakura was looking in the other end of the store at some new outfits. "Well, Sakura?" he asked. When Sakura turned around, she stammered lightly and began to blush faintly. Instead of his traditional orange garb, Naruto was now outfitted in a black long-sleeved shirt and a forest green vest bearing the Konoha symbol on the back. His pants were a faded black that hung evenly from his body, not clinging, but not ready to fall off either. He had taken his headband, and was using it to clasp the vest together midway down, allowing his bangs to fall down in front of his forehead. Why, you look great, Naruto! It really suits you. Inner Sakura meanwhile was drooling. Holy shit! Jump him! Jump his sexy ass now! She screamed. Sakura's body, however, disobeyed, and she just watched as Naruto went over and picked up a few more sets of the clothes he was currently wearing. He then walked to the register and took out his money, when the clerk sneered. Sorry, you're going to need more than that. We're low on stock lately, so we've had to double some prices at the last minute. Naruto nodded and began to go through his wallet when Sakura walked over. Oh, fuck this! Inner Sakura roared. Sakura meanwhile took out her wallet and gave him the rest of the money. Here you go. This should be enough, right? Sakura asked the clerk threateningly. That's fine, Mississippi. Thank you. He began to pull the money back as Naruto bagged his purchases. Thank you, Sakura. I'll be sure to pay you back. Sakura smiled. Don't worry about it. Inner Sakura was growling. That's right, bitch. Don't mess with Sakura Haruno or Naruto. As they began to leave, Sakura heard the clerk say, Have a nice day. But then she heard him murmur, Somewhere else, murderer. At this, she snapped, Oh hell no! Inner Sakura roared, and for once, Sakura let her out. Sakura charged over to the clerk and snarled. What was that? The clerk cowered behind the counter as Sakura shot him a look that could kill 10 men. Don't kill me! He begged. Naruto then grabbed Sakura by the arm and pulled her out of the store. Hey, what are you doing? Let me go! She screamed. Sakura, calm down, you're making a scene, Naruto said calmly. After a while, Sakura relaxed, and they began to wander near the academy. How do you put up with that? She asked, clearly concerned for Naruto. Naruto shrugged. I never really thought much of it, they always treated me like that, now they just do it more. He explained. As if on cue, a rock was thrown, and hit Naruto in the head. Sakura flipped and looked over to see Ino, bandage covering her nose, and a large group of girls behind her. Hey Naruto! Get over here! She hissed. Yeah! We'll make you pay for what you did to Sasuke! Time for Sasuke's revenge, asshole! Sakura snarled and glared at Ino. However, before Sakura could say a word, Excuse me? What is this? All looked over to see Iruka standing outside the academy door. Ino Yamanaka! You should have a bit more respect than that. If you can't set a proper example for the students at the academy, you shouldn't be here. Now get out of here, all of you! He yelled, pointing in the other direction. The angered fangirls, fearful of the angered Chunin, laughed quietly. Sakura ran over and hugged her former sensei. Iruka-sensei! Oh, I'm so happy to see you! If you hadn't done something, they could have killed him! She yelled. Iruka looked at Naruto with sadness, and Naruto looked over at Sakura. Hey Sakura? Can I have some time with Iruka-sensei? I haven't seen him in a while. Sakura looked shocked, but nodded. Sure. I'll catch up with you later, Sakura, he said with a smile. Sakura nodded and left, and Iruka looked at Naruto and shook his head. You're letting them walk all over you, Naruto. Naruto nodded. I know, but I'm not going to hurt them, they have a right to be angry. I took away something they can never get back. Iruka walked over and punched Naruto in the head. What's the matter with you? Don't you go blaming this on yourself. Sasuke knew the dangers of shinobi life, and he died honoring his duty. Be proud of him, Iruka instructed. Naruto smiled as he heard Iruka yell at him. Thanks, Iruka-sensei. Iruka smiled, knowing his favorite student was still in there. Wanna go get some ramen? My treat? He asked. Naruto smiled. I'd like that, Iruka-sensei. And they walked off through the village. Kakashi had just about had enough. The council wasn't budging in the least, or so it seemed to him. Sarutobi smiled as he saw Kakashi's anger used for the right reasons. He saw the council begin to squirm with doubt, and he knew with just a little more, Kakashi could win his argument. This is ridiculous. You have no reason to deny Haku entry into our ranks. He's a former member of the Mist Village, one of our rivals. We have every reason to. You just don't get it, do you? What's it going to take to let Haku stay? He can't stay. End of story. Sarutobi stepped forward. The responsibility of the ninja known as Haku will fall on me. If he should betray the village, I will resign at once. How is that, Councilman? Sarutobi asked. Until a replacement is found, the head councilman will act as Hokage. Is that fair? The council began to whisper amongst themselves, and Kakashi looked over at Sarutobi. Thank you, Lord Hokage. Sarutobi smiled. I have faith in you, Kakashi. I know you make good judgment calls. The council fell silent. We have come to a decision on the matter of missing Nin Haku. Naruto looked at Iruka as he ate. Ichiraku Ramen was the only place that still accepted Naruto with open arms, and it was where he felt at home, sitting with a bowl of ramen, next to Iruka. He felt now would be as good a time as ever. Iruka-sensei. Iruka looked up with a smile. Naruto looked up at him with a fierce intensity in his eyes. Who was Sasuke's enemy? Who was the one he wanted dead? He asked. Iruka nearly choked on his ramen. Of all things to talk about, he did not think he would be discussing the Uchiha massacre, or the missing Nin Itachi. Well, Naruto. You know Sasuke was alone, like you. He began. Naruto nodded. Yeah, something happened to his family a long time ago, back when we were kids. He never told me, and nobody else did either. He explained. Iruka nodded. I figured as much. You see, Sasuke's family was murdered, almost completely wiped out. Naruto dropped his bowl and nearly broke it as he stared at Iruka. What did you say? Sasuke's family was massacred. It's recorded as the infamous Uchiha massacre. You should go look it up in the library. Iruka continued. Naruto just sat and stared at him. Who would do such a thing? He asked, afraid to hear the answer. Haku sat on his bed that the Hokage had set up for him, while looking at Zabuza's sword with sadness. Zabuza. You're really gone. Kakashi walked through the door and smiled through his mask. Good, you're still awake. Yes, Kakashi-senpai? Haku asked. From now on, I'm Kakashi-sensei to you, Haku. Get ready, tomorrow you start your first day as a leaf ninja under my instruction. He explained with a smile. Iruka looked at Naruto. That's the most disturbing part. The killer was an Uchiha as well. Itachi Uchiha, Sasuke's older brother. Chapter 3. The replacement. Haku lay in bed that night, hearing Kakashi's instructions over and over again. A leaf ninja, huh? Is this what you would have wanted, Zabuza? To give me a purpose again? Unable to sleep, Haku stood up and grabbed Zabuza's sword. He then wandered outside and attempted to swing it. He couldn't even move it outside with him without using both hands. He knew he had a lot of work to do. Zabuza could swing this with one hand, I can barely lift it with two. I need to get stronger. He continued to attempt to lift and swing the sword, like Zabuza was able to do. With every swing, he nearly lost grip of the sword. Wait a minute. What if I directed my chakra? He shut his eyes and began to focus intently. Direct my chakra into my arms and hands. His arms began to glow a faint blue, and he lifted the sword once more, this time able to lift it and swing it with one hand, albeit very close to dropping the large blade once again. I should probably use both hands for now. At least until I can fine-tune my strength so chakra isn't required in nearly such large amounts to swing it. He grabbed the sword with both hands, and the faint chakra glow grew dimmer. By using both hands it lessens the chakra usage, because the weight is evenly distributed. He told himself as he watched the glow dim. He began to deftly swing the blade with both hands, and smiled as he watched the sun begin to rise. I promise, Zabuza. I'll make you smile upon me in heaven. I'll make you proud. and he continued to swing the blade as the sun rose. Unknown to Haku, Kakashi and Guy were standing upon the Hokage tower, watching him in the compound. He's determined, I'll give him that. To have such chakra control, to have figured out how to use it so he could wield the sword, you've definitely picked an interesting new recruit, my eternal rival, Guy said with a smile. Kakashi ignored the last comment and sighed. I'm going to need your help, Guy. Haku's been trained for long-range combat and assassination, not taijutsu and close range. If anyone can help with his muscle training to use that blade, it's you. Guy grinned and gave his nice guy pose. Kakashi, my eternal rival, with this request coming from you, I'm going to give your new student everything I've got in taijutsu training, that's a promise, he said, a twinkle in his teeth as he gave Kakashi the thumbs up. Kakashi ignored Guy's with a sigh. A simple yes would suffice. And as the morning sun rose over Konoha, Haku smiled and returned to his room, placing the blade beside his bed, and falling into a peaceful sleep. Naruto sighed as he woke up in his bed, and looked out at the village. Iruka's words still echoed in his mind. Itachi Uchiha. He got up and jumped in the shower. As the water pelted him, he remembered the epic day where he was coated in mist and blood, the day that changed his life forever. As the memories flooded his brain, Naruto shed a tear, hidden in the falling water. Getting dressed and ready to go, Naruto walked out, locked his door, and jumped down to the street. Unfazed by the slamming doors and windows, he continued to wander the streets, determining what he would do until the allotted meeting time with his team. I should probably visit Sasuke. Or I should go do some research, he thought aloud, completely oblivious to his stalker. And Naruto. He's changed so much in the last month. It almost makes me sad that I don't see his smile anymore. Hinata thought to herself as she watched the blonde ninja walk the streets. She sighed lightly. If only I could talk to him. If only I could figure out how to help him, maybe. Then Naruto stopped short. What are you doing, Hinata? He asked gently. Hinata nearly fell over in shock. He had sensed her presence. And nothing, Naruto. What about you? I mean, she stammered, unable to finish a single statement, yet again. Naruto smiled. I'm just thinking, is all. You okay? You look a little red, he asked as he moved a little closer to her. Hinata's blush instantly grew drastically. Oh, I'm fine, Naruto, she blurted out. Naruto blinked. Okay? Well, I want to go take care of some stuff, so. As he turned away, Hinata's eyes widened and she stumbled forward. And Naruto! Wait! She accidentally stumbled into him, nearly knocking him over. Whoa! He caught her and smiled. Easy, you okay? He asked. His smile radiated in the sunlight, and it nearly made Hinata faint. Why, yeah. Unable to control herself, she looked into his eyes, her own pupils shining with a gaze like a diamond, filled with hope. And Naruto. She blushed faintly as she moved a little closer to him. Hinata. He moved in towards her, and as their lips connected. Hinata. 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 Hinata suddenly blinked several times and looked around, blushing quite visibly. Huh? What happened? Kiba sighed as he looked at his teammate. She'd done it again. You were just standing there, eyes glazed over. You were really out of it. He had a promise to Sasuke he had to fulfill, and until he did, Hokage would have to wait. As they entered the Hokage's office, Sarutobi sat behind his desk with pipe in hand. Ah, Kakashi, you're here. I was wondering when you'd arrive, he said with a chuckle. Kakashi bowed, followed by his students. Lord Hokage, forgive my tardiness. Sarutobi smiled. Relax. Haku, come forward, he instructed. Hi, Hokage-sama. And Haku walked toward the desk. Sarutobi nodded and reached under his desk. From this day forward, do you swear to serve and defend the hidden village Konoha, and protect the land of fire with your life? He asked. Haku nodded. Hi, Hokage-sama. I would die for Konoha, and the land of fire, he answered. Sarutobi smiled. Very well. He placed the headband on his desk. Take it, you are officially a Leaf Nin, he instructed. Haku nodded and took the headband, placing it on his forehead, where the headband of the mist once rested. Thank you, Hokage-sama, Haku said with a smile. Sarutobi smiled. Not a problem, Haku. Now then, I have no missions for you currently, but I hear we'll be having visitors from the land of herbs soon. I will call for you when they do, he explained. Kakashi nodded. Understood, Lord Hokage. And they turned to leave. Naruto smiled. He didn't know Haku well, but he knew that Haku could be trusted. Now all they had to do was complete enough missions to earn the trust of the villagers. As they left the Hokage Tower, Kakashi grinned. Well, you're dismissed for now. Go train, I'll come get you when the visitors have arrived, he explained as he vanished, holding his beloved book in hand. Naruto sighed. He's only gonna know because someone has to come yell at him to get us, he explained. Haku blinked. Really? Sakura nodded. Kakashi-sensei is not the most responsible ninja in the village. Haku just stared at them in disbelief. Naruto chuckled. Well, I'm gonna go train, I'll catch up with you later. And he vanished in smoke. Haku blinked, and as he turned to face Sakura, he saw she too was gone, and a bead of sweat dripped down the back of his head. Naruto had grabbed the jutsu guide he found in the library, and had gone to the one place that had still been quarantined off, the Uchiha estate. Going to the dock, looking at the blood that stained the paths around him, he sighed as he took out the book. He would master as many jutsu as he needed to. He couldn't just rely on shadow clones anymore, they weren't enough. Let's see. He looked out at the pond lake before him and smiled. This must be where the rite of passage was performed. He put the book down and began to practice. Inu torai tatsu torai inu torai miu mayashi utora. Naruto felt his chakra begin to build. I've got to continue, I must master this. And he continued hand seals into the night. Haku had begun to wander around, looking for somewhere to train, when he saw the most unusual sight before him, a man with a bowl haircut and a green jumpsuit. You must be Haku, Kakashi's new student, Guy yelled in excitement. Haku blinked, then nodded. Guy grinned. I'm the noble blue beast of the leaf, might Guy, he exclaimed as he gave Haku a thumbs up. Haku just stared at him. Guy grinned. Kakashi asked me to help train you, so come, he yelled as he began to jog in place. Haku cocked an eyebrow. Guy smiled. 100 laps around the village. Come on, let's go. Haku just stared at him with eyes as big as oranges. You must be joking. Guy laughed. I know, so few. All right then, 200. Haku nearly fell over. Are you insane? Guy grinned. Now come on, let's go. If not, then it's gonna be 500 laps on your hands, he yelled as he dashed off. Haku sighed. What have I gotten myself into? He asked himself as he jogged off into the sunset, following the running jounin. Chapter 4. The next mission. Haku sighed as he collapsed into his bed. 200 laps around Konoha. Was that guy insane? He asked himself. One thing was certain. Might Guy's training regiment was the equivalent of hell, and it looked like Haku had just ended up in Satan's ass. Sakura sighed as she walked back to her house. Her day had been hectic enough with showing Haku around the village, but when Naruto and Kakashi showed up, that just made it worse. As she got undressed and settled into a bath, she had a feeling that something had been forgotten. However, guessing that it was just her imagination, Sakura shrugged it off and settled into the bathwater, washing all her troubles away. Umi torai torai. Naruto sighed as he sat down and relaxed. Looking up into the moonlit night, he smiled. Practicing for hours on end, he had used up almost all of his chakra, and he still wanted to continue. Pulling the jutsu book to him, he sat at the dock and began to read again. Once I get strong enough to actually deal with someone on his level, I'll still need to find him. He sat there and thought. Kakashi just sat on his roof, reading his precious books. Kakashi, my eternal rival, those books are incredibly unyouthful. A very familiar voice yelled. Kakashi grumbled as he turned to face his eternal rival. Yes, Guy? Guy grinned. Your new student is very interesting, my eternal rival. When using his chakra, his muscular power could almost rival my prized pupils. Kakashi sighed, knowing Guy had done something incredibly stupid. What did you do this time? Guy smiled. You student ran 200 laps around Konoha alongside me, he explained as he gave Kakashi a thumbs up, teeth twinkling in the moonlight. Kakashi sighed as he heard this. Better let Haku sleep in tomorrow, he told himself. The next morning, Naruto yawned as he sat up, feeling the sun beaming down on him much more than usual, and he didn't feel his bed beneath him. His eyes widened. Shit! I fell asleep at the dock, he yelled as he jumped up, book in hand, and ran back to his house. Slamming his door shut and locking it, Naruto jumped into the shower, almost literally, and got changed, getting ready for his day. Haku sat up in bed, yawning, and looked over at Zabuza's sword, which had become a morning ritual. Smiling, he figured he could use some more sleep, and laid back down in bed. Sakura had just been sitting there. She'd been up for at least 3 hours, not really doing anything, just unable to sleep. As such, she figured she'd read some more chakra manuals and weaponry guides. As the 3 genin went about their respective mornings, doors were slamming and windows were closing swiftly. Not on account of Naruto, but a pair of jounin. The 2 of them were quite well known in the village, and one of them was hated just as much as Naruto was. Scars covering his face and a bandana on his head, the male jounin sighed as doors began to close. The mind is such a complicated thing, we instantly fear that which we ourselves lack, he explained aloud, then turned to his companion, who grinned. Maybe it's your breath, she responded. He just sighed as they watched yet another door close. They both knew it was because of her, but he wasn't going to say anything. After all, it wasn't her fault. They were just small-minded fools. Where exactly are we going again? He asked. Well, first we need to get some delicious food, then we need to go talk to Lord Hokage. He sighed. She always wanted to go get what was delicious food, in her opinion, which was always the same thing every day. As they approached their safe haven, another door snapped shut when she passed by. Why don't you just go die, snake bitch? Someone yelled out. Anko just sighed and continued walking to her safe haven, the precious dango shop. Ibiki just followed close behind, making sure his partner didn't get into any trouble. Naruto was running through the streets with a book in his hand, a cloud of dust slowly growing behind him. He needed to talk to Sarutobi. The concern of finding Itachi was just growing in his mind. Itachi was an S-rank criminal, a missing nin. He'd be nearly impossible to find without help. At the very least, he was hoping Sarutobi could suggest a type of training to undertake while he worked under Kakashi. As Anko walked out of the little shop, chugging her favorite red bean soup, a ball of black and blonde sped past her, sending her spinning in circles. Thinking it was an attack, Ibiki grabbed Anko and pulled her into the shadows. You okay, Anko? Anko's eyes were spinning. Ibiki! Why are there 2 of you? She asked as she stared at the sky, very dizzy. Naruto ran into Sarutobi's office, panting, and the Hokage in question just stared at him between 2 monstrous stacks of paperwork. Where the hell have you been? I called for your team hours ago, Sarutobi yelled. Naruto blinked. Huh! Sarutobi stared at him, and it all clicked. Kakashi never called for you, did he? Naruto grinned. I doubt Kakashi-sensei would even know what you're talking about right now. Kakashi, sitting in a tree reading his book, proceeded to sneeze fiercely enough to fall out of said tree and onto his head. Ugh! Sarutobi sighed. Look, the land of herbs is being attacked by the Hidden Mist village. No doubt the Mizukage is attempting to spread his territory into the land of fire. I need you and the rest of Team 7 to go and save the land of herbs. They're already in a very chaotic state as it is, with the daimyo being quite ill, and now who knows what might happen. Naruto sighed. Well, there goes my request, he thought. Sarutobi looked at Naruto sternly. Get your lazy sensei and the rest of Team 7 ready, you leave before nightfall. Naruto nodded. Right. He began to leave, when Sarutobi cleared his throat. I know about your sworn mission. Vengeance isn't something I can openly support, but the defeat of an S-rank criminal is. I take it you've already begun training? Naruto turned back to his figurative grandfather. My taijutsu's good to go. I've been practicing hand seals and trying to learn more ninjutsu. Shadow clones won't always save me, be they an A-rank technique or not. What I'm worried about is finding my target. I mean, an S-rank criminal is almost like a ghost. They won't be seen unless they want to be. Any ideas on how to find him? Sarutobi grinned. The solution is obvious. Naruto blinked. Huh! Sarutobi continued to grin. Interrogation. Itachi's name has been spread far and wide. I'm sure that someone's seen him. Say he has accomplices, and you find them. Interrogate them and find out what you can about him. Interrogation is right up your alley now. Once you get back, I'd suggest taking that up. Be warned though, it's gonna be tough. Now get going, Kakashi isn't going to go on this assignment without some encouragement, you know. Kakashi sneezed several more times, and had now ended up flying over Konoha, well, starting to, before he hit a billboard. Why me? Naruto smiled at Sarutobi. Thanks, Gramps. Sarutobi chuckled. Now get out of here and get ready to go. Naruto nodded and left the office with a smile. And as he shut the door, Sarutobi sighed, and his paperwork began to shake. Oh shit! And the large piles of papers collapsed on the elderly Hokage. As Naruto left the tower, he heard a loud BM. Ignoring it as well as possible, the blonde ran off to find his team. Haku sat up in bed, groaning. He was having such a peaceful sleep, and then somebody had to interrupt it with that obnoxious knocking. He slowly made his way to the door, muttering about peace and quiet, as whoever it was continued to knock quite loudly. As he opened the door, he was ready to yell something along the lines of "What the hell is it?" But when he saw the blonde former knucklehead ninja, he just blinked. Naruto-sama. Naruto twitched almost invisibly. Sure, the title Sama was nice, but he didn't feel it was right for his friends to be calling him that. Tossing that thought aside, he sighed. Get ready, Haku, we've got a mission. And he bolted. Haku blinked, thoroughly confused. But everything began to click, and Haku bolted inside to get ready. My first mission as a Leaf Nin, he thought to himself as he gathered his supplies. Then, looking at Zabuza's blade, he decided he would bring it, placing it on his back. From there, he gathered his Senbon and his new ninja tools. Wrapping his headband around his forehead, Haku smiled as he walked out and locked the door. Sakura sighed as she got out of bed and wandered into the bathroom. She began to brush her hair, when a mad knocking was heard. Growling slightly, she walked over to the door and swung it open. What? She yelled, but immediately clammed up when she saw Naruto sprawled against a wall, having been blasted back by the shockwave. He managed to get down from the wall, and shook his head clean of debris. Easy, Sakura. Geez, we have a mission, so go get ready. I don't think you can go on a mission in a robe, he said with a cheeky grin as he ran off. Sakura's face grew slightly pink at this comment, and she stammered for a moment before slamming the door and running around getting things together. Naruto ran around looking for his perverted sensei. Knowing him, there was only one place he had any hope of finding him, but he didn't want to check there yet, because if he wasn't there, he'd end up lost in conversation with his old friend. He needed to visit Sasuke anyway, but he wanted to do it right before he left, and he needed to find Kakashi now. As Kakashi sat in a tree nearby the memorial, he sighed, closing his book and looking at the nearby stone. I know, I should have a bit more respect. If I'm going to be here, I should talk to you. But I have needs too, you know. I haven't gotten any in years, and damn do I miss it, he complained. In response, only silence met him, and he smiled through his mask. Whatever, it's not like you'd understand anyway. You're always too focused on increasing your skills. You've never felt the wonders of a woman, he said. Again, only silence met him. As Naruto bolted through the streets, yelling his sensei's name, he realized he was going nowhere with his search, and if he wanted time to get ready himself, he needed to find his sensei soon. Now that Haku was ready, he knew that Naruto would find him again when they were ready to go. He'd heard some good things about the herb fields near Konoha, and being quite well educated in herbs from around the world, Haku was quite interested in seeing what he could find. Already outside of Konoha's gates, Haku wandered to a nearby field, filled with flowers and herbs galore. Haku looked in amazement. This land had herbs he never would have found in Wave. He went into the center of the field and bent down, looking around at the herbs and beautiful flowers around him. He then picked a small herb and looked at it. A rare antidote for paralysis. He picked up another. A sleep-inducing powder. Then another. This one he stared at for a moment in thought, then nodded. An aphrodisiac. All of these herbs he was analyzing, and storing away in the pouch on his hip. One thing Haku prided himself on was his knowledge of plants, and his ability to use that knowledge. As he continued to gather herbs, Haku noticed something fell off, and he turned to see someone behind him. Not someone he particularly liked at the moment, and he didn't really want to see her there. Ino had begun to gather flowers and the like, ignoring Haku nearby. She knew he was friends with Naruto, and that was reason enough to steer clear of him. Naruto was trouble. Anyone he got involved with knew that, because of him, she'd lost Sasuke. If it weren't for Sakura, Kakashi, Iruka, and the Hokage, she would have made sure Naruto was dead before Sasuke's funeral, or so she kept telling herself. As Ino began to reach around on the ground and feel for flower stems, she grabbed something and lifted it into her hand. She thought it was the most beautiful thing she'd ever seen, a rose with purple petals, rosy red at the center. As she went to smell it, she heard rustling nearby. A florist, huh? Haku asked. Ino looked at him, and huffed, looking the other way. What's it to you? Haku smiled. I wouldn't smell that if I were you. Ino glared at him. Did this guy honestly think he knew flowers better than her? And why is that? Haku smiled. That's no ordinary rose, and that's definitely not something you'd want to sell to anyone in the village, not unless they knew what they were doing, he explained. Ino twitched. He was getting into long-winded explanations, without explaining anything. And why is that? Haku walked over and plucked the purple rose from her fingers, gently brushing past them as he did, and a slight blush arose from her face. She'd never seen anyone who handled flowers so gently, not unless it was her or her father. Haku looked at the rose and nodded. This is the blood rose, a rare rose that grows in very modest climates. It's a powerful hallucinogen, having power close to that of genjutsu. It wears off after several hours, but it's still incredibly dangerous. Many have been pushed to madness by its power, he explained. Ino blinked. He knew all that just by looking at it. It was almost like he was a walking herbal dictionary. Its effects are perceived via sight or smell. If ground up and put into flash bombs, the explosion can cause hallucinations. If smelled, it has the same effect. If you'd smelled that just now, you'd be here for several hours experiencing firsthand what hell is like, Haku stated bluntly. Haku didn't particularly like Ino due to her treatment of Naruto, and Ino didn't favor Haku because he was Naruto's friend. They had a dilemma, but Haku felt the need to try and be friendly. Who knows, maybe Ino wasn't so bad once you got to know her, and maybe she would actually chill out about Naruto. Ino grinned. Haku seemed to know a good share about herbs and the like, maybe she could actually find some useful info out from him. Stop by my family shop sometime. I'd like to hear what you have to say about other herbs and flowers, she said with a grin as she left. Haku sighed and went back to gather a few more herbs. I should probably get back to the village. Naruto-sama's probably waiting for me. With that, Haku took the last of the herbs he'd picked and wandered off towards Konoha. Naruto sighed as he continued to wander around looking for Kakashi. Realizing that there was only one more place to check, Naruto prepared the rest of his gear before he went to find his sensei. As Naruto wandered into the clearing, he noticed that Kakashi's chakra was present, but he wasn't in his usual spot. Looking up, he smirked. "Kakashi-sensei! Why am I not surprised?" he said with a chuckle. Kakashi cocked an eyebrow as he jumped down from the tree and placed the book back in his pocket. "What? Normally it's me who has to go looking for you three," he asked with a grumble. Naruto sighed. "We've got a mission, and we've had it for a while now. Apparently Gramps has been trying to get a hold of you for hours now. I already got Haku and Sakura ready," he explained as he walked over to the memorial. "Sorry I've been gone for a while, had a lot to do. You've got some interesting jutsus in your family, maybe I'll actually figure out how to use them." He, like his sensei, was met with silence. Kakashi had wandered off to go get ready, thinking to himself, "Naruto really has become a fine ninja in the last month. Even though the village has practically turned its back on him worse than ever before, he's better than he ever has been in the past. His behavior, though, he's like another me." He then pulled out his beloved book. "Too bad he doesn't understand the wonders of this yet." He giggled as he began to read while he walked. Sakura sighed as she finally left her home, glad she was finally ready to leave for her mission. She flipped her hair as she ran off towards the gates, assuming that was where they'd meet up. Once she was within sight distance, she saw someone waiting. Noticing the large sword and pale face, she realized Haku must have beat them all to complete preparation. Walking up to the gates, she saw Haku's soft smile, and smiled in return. "He really is trying. I can't hold that fight with Sasuke against him forever," she thought to herself. She noticed Haku had some sort of cup and was pounding something inside the cup with a glass rod. "Hey Haku! What are you doing?" she asked, quite curious as she got closer. Haku smiled as he explained the herbs he'd found outside the village, and how he was grinding them up to make powders which could be used in potions and explosives. Naruto spent the next half-hour lost in conversation with silence. He finally smiled at the memorial and said, "I gotta go, we've got a mission. It's already been a month, and it's the first mission we've been on since you left. Kinda seems like time flies, huh? I'll tell you all about it when I get back." With that, Naruto left. Wonder if Kakashi-sensei actually got ready to go? He asked himself as he approached the gates of Konoha, seeing Sakura and Haku already set to go. As he approached, he saw them talking and smiled. "Hey!" he yelled as he walked over. Sakura glared at him. "You're just as bad as Kakashi-sensei." Haku bowed. "Naruto-sama." Naruto twitched again, and he snapped. "Stop calling me Sama!" "Okay, I like the title, I really do, just not from my friends. I'm just Naruto, got it? Just Naruto!" he yelled. Haku just stared at him for a moment, and nodded slowly. Naruto sighed with relief, and Kakashi walked up slowly, reading his book. Sakura twitched. "Kakashi-sensei!" she yelled, and charged at her sensei, but went flying as he sidestepped, not looking up from his book once. Naruto sighed as he walked over and helped Sakura up. "Come on, guys. We need to get moving." As they left the village, Naruto began to explain what Sarutobi had told him of their mission, and when they prepared to cross the border, Haku stiffened up, feeling the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. He looked around, but saw nothing, not even any mist. "Keep an eye out, something's not right here," he said quietly. In the shadows, a chuckle could be heard. "So, the apprentice of Zabuza Momochi has come to face his death." Chapter 5: The Raid of Mist. As the small group of ninja crossed the border, a dense mist fell over them. Kakashi's face remained stoic and empty. "Keep your guard up, no doubt Kiri has shinobi nearby." The genin just nodded, grabbing hold of their weapons for a sense of security. Sarutobi was at his desk, going through papers, and thinking of his adoptive grandson's latest mission. Why had Kiri attacked? Why now, when they were still reeling from Zabuza's attempted coup? Their shinobi force was admirable, yes. But that wasn't enough, not when Konoha had the copy ninja, the noble blue beast, and the genjutsu mistress. Kiri's only hope to face such jounin were the seven swordsmen, and they had begun vanishing before the coup, then altogether disappeared afterward. Sarutobi looked up in realization. He then began to rummage through his papers, hoping to find something, anything. I hope I'm wrong about this, he whispered. Kakashi's eyes shot open. We've got company. Naruto grabbed a kunai, as did Sakura, and Haku began to debate in his mind what he should do. As he heard movement, he grabbed the handle of Zabuza's blade for mental assurance he would be fine. A kunai whizzed through the air, unseen due to the mist. It was faint, but if one focused they could hear it. Naruto blinked, and focused chakra into his ears, listening for the sound. Sakura! Within the blink of an eye, Naruto stood in front of the pink-haired kunoichi, the cold glare of the Sharingan eye piercing into the mist, and a kunai caught in between his fingers. Sakura stared at him in amazement. She'd never seen anyone move so fast, and she didn't even see that kunai coming. Kakashi just stared, and under his mask, his jaw had dropped. He'd only seen one person move with such speed. Naruto put the kunai in his pouch and took up a defensive stance in front of Sakura. How exactly are we supposed to fight back in what we can't see? He hissed. Haku placed his hands together. Allow me, Naruto. He held back the sama, although it almost rolled off his tongue. Release! With a simple hand seal and a gust of wind, the mist vanished, and two shinobi were left standing before them, scowls on their faces. So, the great apprentice of Zabuza actually learned how to dispel our jutsus. Maybe Zabuza was smart to make you his personal tool after all. A ball of fire shot over the heads of the Kirinin, who ducked down in horror, seeing the blonde ninja before them breathe fire like a dragon. Talk about Haku like that again, and you'll be charcoal, he snarled. Kakashi was amazed, and terrified all at once. To have learned the fireball jutsu that Sasuke prided himself on in such a small time. Granted, the technique, while appearing impressive to those who had never seen it before, was still in fact very flimsy, and Naruto was barely able to perform it. It was still amazing that he had been able to use it at all. It seemed like Naruto was becoming another genius of hard work. Haku had finally gathered himself, and pulled several samban into his hands, lacing them between his fingers as he was so accustomed to doing. Tell us what's going on here, Haku demanded. The ninja smirked. They were too confident, especially after what Naruto had just done. Kakashi didn't like it, but he didn't make any sudden moves. This would be a perfect test of Naruto and Haku's skills. The ninja just charged forward, one at Naruto and one at Haku, Kakashi placing himself in front of Sakura as protection. Naruto and Haku exchanged grins as they vanished. The two ninjas stopped short, looking around frantically. Where the hell did they go? How should I know? Naruto and Haku grinned at each other in the shadows. Stealth was something Naruto was beginning to enjoy, keeping the enemy on their toes, panicked, nervous beyond belief. Damn, he was glad he got rid of that orange outfit. He stuck out like a sore thumb in that thing. Naruto, Sharingan still active, jumped down and charged behind his target, punching him in the back and sending him flying, before vanishing in the shadows once more. As the ninja picked himself up off the ground, he looked up and saw several blonde ninjas staring at him. What the hell? Clones? You think that'll do anything? The shadow clones just began to crack their knuckles, while the real Naruto just chuckled. Haku had begun moving around and tossing samban. Naruto was having his fun, why shouldn't he enjoy himself? The two ninja were realizing just how far and over their heads they were. Naruto's target was being tossed around like a beach ball, and Haku's was quickly becoming a pincushion, being filled with samban in non-lethal locations. Kakashi was quite impressed, and he stiffened when he sensed more approaching forces. Sakura, hide, he instructed. She nodded and ran off to hide somewhere. Kakashi lifted his headband, and his Sharingan blazed to life. Boys, no more joking around. Let's get what we need out of them and get moving, he yelled out. Seeing that playtime was over, Naruto hopped out of the shadows and charged the poor shinobi. He caught him in a clothesline and slammed him down to the ground. Then, glaring into his eyes, he hissed, "Who's leading you?" Haku had leapt out of the shadows, tossing shuriken and kunai in each hand. As he landed, he grabbed 3 more saban and tossed them, lodging themselves in the ninja's shoulder. He charged up and pulled forth the monstrous blade of Zabuza Momochi, placing it at the ninja's neck. "Why are you attacking this land?" Kakashi had managed to determine how many there were total. Including Naruto and Haku's guests, they had 6 shinobi of the Mist Village to deal with. Nothing they couldn't handle. He glared into the darkness. "Come out, I know you're there," he yelled, grabbing hold of a kunai in his pouch. A loud buzz was heard as 2 kunai shot out of the darkness and headed straight for Kakashi. Calmly using his training, Kakashi steadied his breathing until he could pinpoint the kunai, and with one spin, knocked them both back into the shadows, using his own kunai to deflect the attack. As he heard yelps and roars of pain, Kakashi grinned. He watched as blood dripped to the ground, and he pointed his kunai into the heart of the shadows. "What's the Mizukage up to?" His question was met with silence, and a light mist grew over the area. Shifting slightly as he kept composure, Kakashi looked into the mist, only to find nothing. Spinning his kunai in one hand, Kakashi continued to watch the area cautiously. "I will find you, and you will tell me what I want to know." Laughter was heard roaring. "You'll find us, eh? Kakashi the copy ninja, you're a joke. Without that Sharingan, you're nothing, and we've heard about how Zabuza disabled it. Now you're out of your league, Kakashi. You're fighting the Garatan clan now, Masters of the Mist, you're done." A voice hissed. As the mist covered the area, Naruto's captive dissipated into the mist. Naruto shot up and immediately began to scan the area. "Face it, brat, you can't beat us. Mist clone jutsu." With that, several clones of Naruto's target appeared. Naruto grinned as he charged one of the clones. "I might not even need shadow clones for this," he thought to himself as he punched one of the clones in the head. However, his fist went through the clone, and it slugged him in the stomach. Naruto flinched slightly as he moved back, clutching his wound. "Mist clones are a jutsu unique to the Garatan. We can place just enough mist in certain areas to keep it an actual clone, but solidify it in others to pack a nasty punch. You're out of your league, kid." Naruto chuckled, still holding his chest, and looked around in the mist. "Hey Haku, you okay?" Haku was standing in the mist, attempting to release it, to no avail. "Yes, Naruto. I'm fine. This mist jutsu is stronger than the last one, I can't release it." Naruto just nodded. If the mist was this powerful, then he was in for one hell of a fight, as were the rest of them. Haku grabbed Zabuza's sword tightly. He hoped that if nothing else, he might be able to swing it a few times, simply to fend off the attackers. "Ah yes! Zabuza's legendary head cleaver, Kubikiri Hocho. Do you know how to use it, little traitor?" one of the ninja asked. Haku pulled the sword from his back and swung it through the mist. Nothing happened. "I will defeat you, ninja of Kiri. My loyalty lies with Konoha, and by the sword of my lord Zabuza, I will cut you down," Haku declared. Naruto listened to Haku's proud declaration and smiled. With a blink of his eyes, the Sharingan blazed out and bored through the mist clones before him. "They're all clones, the real ones aren't even here," he whispered. Then he looked around at the mist encircling him. Kakashi was still looking through the mist, knowing by now he was surrounded, as were his students. "Naruto! Haku! This mist is their power! The Garatan are known as masters of mist jutsu, but that is all. Dispose of the mist, and they lose their source of power," he explained. Naruto blinked and began to think of ways to dispel the mist. Then he grinned. "Shadow Clone Jutsu!" 6 copies of Naruto appeared around him. "Go! Whirlwind Formation!" The clones began to run in a circle, and began to drastically pick up speed. Naruto blazed through hand seals again, and in his mind begged. Come on, Sasuke, let me nail this jutsu, just once more today. The Sharingan began to spin, and Naruto inhaled deeply. Fire style! Fireball jutsu! A beam of fire shot into the growing whirlwind, and burst outward as a blossom of flame. The mist started shooting away in the gust of wind, and the mist clones evaporated. Naruto could begin to see his surroundings clearly again. It didn't do much, but it cleared up the area a bit, he told himself. Kakashi grinned as he could see a little better. The mist still shrouded the area, but he could at last see the trees around him, and saw silhouettes of his opponents. I alone may not stand a chance against the Garden clan, but this is as much my fight as it is the fight of my students. Never underestimate a Konoha shinobi, be they Jounin or Genin, Kakashi boldly declared to his attackers. Haku had focused all of his chakra into his hands, gripping Kubikiri Hocho with all his might. Then, he began to spin rapidly, and created a whirlwind of his own. As the mist began to be deflected, Haku stabbed the mighty blade into the ground, using it as a brake. He slowly came to a stop, steadying himself. Come at me if you can! Haku yelled. Naruto turned and began to scan the area, and out of the corner of his eye, saw a kunai come flying toward him. His hand twitching, he caught it by the tip between two fingers, a small drop of blood hitting the ground. Cowards, why not come fight me face to face? He yelled. There was no response. They. Shadow Clone Jutsu! A dozen clones appeared, and began to search the misty area. Haku had returned the sword to his back, and drawn 3 Senbon. As a figure appeared in the mist, Haku threw one of the Senbon at the figure, only to have it pass straight through him. Haku frowned and gripped the Senbon tightly. This is getting us nowhere. Haku charged in, throwing 2 more Senbon in one hand, which passed through the silhouette, and he placed his hand into a seal. Secret Jutsu! Crystal Mirror! Suddenly, Haku vanished into the mist, leaving a very baffled shinobi. What? He looked around, the genjutsu he had performed now useless, seeing as Haku had stolen his concentration. He began to look around frantically, and turned around, to see his own reflection. What? He jumped away from the mirror, and Haku appeared in it, performing yet another seal with one hand. Secret Jutsu! Mirror Transfer Technique! Haku vanished from the mirror, and the shinobi's reflection appeared again. But then the shinobi saw Haku in front of him, and the mirror was gone. He attempted to attack, but found he was unable to pass through some unseen barrier. Then he realized he was in the mirror. Get me out of here, traitor! He yelled. Haku just smiled, and slowly began to pour chakra into Kubikiri Hocho unnoticeably. Not unless you tell me what I want to know. Why are you attacking a defenseless nation? The land of herbs has no shinobi force to defend itself, unless you count Konoha nearby. He asked, slowly pouring more chakra into the blade. Burn in hell, traitor! Burn alongside your precious Zabuza! The shinobi answered. Naruto had continued to search frantically, Sharingan blazing through the light mist. Cowards! Show yourselves! He yelled. He pulled out another kunai and glared into the mist. I guess the Garden clan is useless without their precious mist. After all, you hide in it. Naruto spouted out, hoping he would coax a response. A slight growl was heard, and Naruto knew he found his mark. How dare you insult Kwazo Garatan? The shinobi roared as he threw an assortment of kunai and shuriken at Naruto. Naruto screamed he was pierced by the weaponry, and stumbled back, hitting the ground. Damn it! He yelled. The ninja known as Kwazo walked forward with a smirk. So you thought you could outsmart me, eh? Well, look at you know, brat. Minutes away from death, pathetic. Naruto glared at the shinobi with a gaze that could kill. Kakashi had heard Naruto yell, and he knew he needed to finish up quick. Let's end this. Water style! Mist Shark Jutsu! Kakashi ran through hand seals and pulled the remaining mist in his vicinity to him, and beside him, a large shark began to form out of the mist. The Garatan ninja were horrified. How? Kakashi glared into the nearby trees. I've faced a few Garatan in my time as the copy ninja. Now then, what's the Mizukage up to? Kakashi asked with a sinister calmness. The shinobi growled angrily. The Mist Shark Jutsu was one of the Garatan clan's few trump cards, and Kakashi knew its inner workings. Why would we tell you anything, Hatake? We are loyal to the Mizukage, not you. They hissed. Kakashi glared at the figures and pointed at them. The shark immediately bolted and tore one of the 4 men asunder. Who's next? The remaining 3 shinobi charged Kakashi, preparing hand seals of their own, and Kakashi smirked. Release! Kakashi yelled, and the shark dispersed into the mist it once was. He then ran through a series of hand seals in a matter of seconds. Water style! Mist Typhoon Jutsu! He yelled as his Sharingan began to spin. Slowly, the mist began to spin in a circle around the shinobi, who had stopped immediately. The mist began to grow in speed, and eventually became a rapid vortex, tearing the clothes of the shinobi inside. They began to try and form hand seals, but it was too late. The vortex tore them all to pieces. Kakashi covered his eye and went to find Naruto. Haku glared at the shinobi he had captured. His interrogation was getting him nowhere, and his patience was running thin. Tell me now, what are you planning? He hissed. The shinobi glared at the young genin. He was unable to keep stalling, and he knew Haku would kill him if he didn't say something. Still, his loyalty outshined his fear. Burn in hell, traitor! Lord Reduchi will destroy you, he whispered. Haku put away his saman and grabbed Kubikiri Hocho with both hands. He then swung it at the mirror, which proceeded to split in 2 under the stress of the chakra Haku had placed in the blade. The shinobi did not scream, and he did not cry. He didn't get the chance. The mirror shattered, with him still inside of it. Haku put the mighty blade on his back, and slowly began to move towards where he hoped Naruto was. He had run out of chakra almost completely. Those 2 jutsu were very tiring to his chakra network, and he only hoped that if Naruto needed help, he could still provide it. As Quazo walked over to Naruto, he placed his hands together in a hand seal. Water style! Blinding mist jutsu! The dense mist that had befallen them before covered the area once more, and as he walked up to Naruto and picked him up by the collar, he sneered. Any last words, genin? Naruto coughed lightly and grinned. Yeah. He vanished in a puff of smoke, and Quazo felt a kunai buzz past his head. Gotcha, he said with a grin, completely unharmed. Quazo's eyes went wide. A shadow clone, he realized, and began to run through hand seals. Binding mist jutsu! He yelled, and slowly the mist around Naruto began to condense, but Naruto grinned. I don't think so. Shadow clone jutsu! Several clones appeared around Naruto, and the mist began to close in fast, but the clones had already gotten to work. Human catapult technique! The clones had grabbed Naruto, 1 on each limb, and threw him with all their force as the mist crushed the clones. Naruto rolled onto his feet as he landed and stood up, and watched Quazo begin hand seals, which he copied right on K with the mirror eye. Water style! Mist Shark Jutsu! They yelled, and 2 sharks appeared from the mist, and began to duel, Naruto's clearly having the upper hand. When his shark finally bit into the other, they vanished, and the 2 began hand seals again, Naruto much swifter than Quazo. Water style! Mist Suffocation Jutsu! Naruto yelled out, leaving Quazo baffled. How did he? The mist began to encircle Quazo, and swiftly forced its way down his throat. Struggling for air, the mist began to worm its way into his lungs, drowning him slowly. Naruto glared at him with the cold gaze of the Sharingan eye. Die! The mist stopped, and slowly Quazo's body slumped to the ground. The mist in the area cleared up, and Kakashi and Haku saw Naruto walk out completely unharmed, and simply yawned. Well, that didn't answer anything. What are they up to? Naruto asked himself, but at that moment, the 3-leaf neem collapsed, Haku falling forward, Naruto falling on his back, and Kakashi managing to collapse onto one knee. Sakura ran out as the mist cleared and tried to tend to her fallen comrades. Naruto! Kakashi-sensei? Haku? What's going on? She asked, clearly panicked. Kakashi tried to steady his breathing. We used too much chakra. He coughed out. He then slumped his head down, and Sakura tried to lift Haku up. Seeing as she didn't have the strength to do so for Haku, she doubted she'd be able to for the others. She then began to drag her unconscious allies and mentor across the ground one by one, pulling them out of the clearing. Sarutobi sat frustrated at his desk, several files in front of him. He was flipping through all of the files, and had a bingo book beside him. No doubt about it, that mission just jumped to an A rank. Why does this always happen when my top jounin are away? He asked himself as he pinched the bridge of his nose. Sakura used what little strength she had to try and pull her teammates both at the same time, but barely got a few feet before she fell over. Come on, I can do this! Just a little farther. She immediately got back up and went back to her sensei, who was a few yards back, and attempted to pull him to the others. This was not a successful endeavor, and she spent the next several minutes dragging the man a mere several feet. As she continued, a twig snapped in the woods nearby. Sakura looked up, petrified. Who's there? Slowly, a little puppy wandered out, woofing and wagging his tail. Sakura saw this little animal and smiled. How cute! She cooed. Slowly, more puppies and full-grown wolves began to pour into the clearing, all looking at the pink-haired kunoichi in confusion. Sakura's eyes widened as she saw the vast quantity of animals in her midst. There were wolves and puppies as far as her eyes could see, and their gazes were all trained on her. Finally, shock and exhaustion pulling her under, she fainted. Chapter 6. Tying up loose ends. Sakura groaned as she slowly ate up, feeling a form of weight on her head. When she felt on her head, something furry was up there. She quickly picked it up and looked at it, and had to resist the urge to squeal. A tiny puppy was looking her in the eyes, tail wagging happily. Sakura then looked around and sighed. Haku, Kakashi, and Naruto were all asleep beside her, puppies all over them too, a particularly large amount on Kakashi. Then Sakura realized something. It was dark, really dark. She looked around in the barely lit area, and saw a speck of light hitting the ground nearby, a beam of light shooting into the sky. She slowly crawled over to it, not disturbing her companions or the puppies they were currently acting as beds for. She saw the pale moon in the sky through the trees. She heard a grumble, and looked around, seeing a pair of yellow eyes watching her. Stunned and a bit scared, she didn't move, and watched as a gray wolf walked into the light, staring at her not with anger or animosity, but with curiosity. Sakura began to piece everything together, and watched as the wolf slowly drew closer to her. Over the next several hours, daylight began to come, and Sakura could clearly see she was in a cave, probably a den. She'd been sitting there petting the wolf gently, as the puppy had silently gone back to sleep in her arm, nuzzling against her. Kakashi groaned as he woke up, unable to even move. What happened? Sakura looked over at her sensei and shushed him. Quiet, Kakashi-sensei, you wake Naruto and Haku, she whispered from her spot. Kakashi blinked slowly, it being painful just to move his eyelids. He saw his two students asleep on either side of him, puppies covering their bodies. It was almost unnoticeable through his mask, but Kakashi smiled slightly. Good, you're all safe, he whispered. Haku awoke soon afterwards, having a very similar response to his sensei's. Naruto was the last to awaken, and like Kakashi, could barely move. What happened? He asked as he grunted in pain while sitting up. Kakashi smiled weakly. Chakra exhaustion, though it looks like you recovered the fastest. Kakashi grunted out. Naruto groaned as he slumped back down, one of the puppies shifting on his head. Where the hell are we? Kakashi chuckled weakly. A wolf den, looks like we were rescued. Naruto yawned as he lay there, and Sakura huffed. Now then, you three need more rest, she stated. Naruto opened his mouth to object, ready to say he felt fine, but Sakura glared at him. That includes you, Naruto, she hissed. Naruto just sighed as he rested his head on the wall behind him, quickly going back to sleep. Naruto looked around the dimly lit room, several hallways and doors around him. What the hell is this place? A low growl was heard from right in front of him. Finally, you show up, little brat, a voice hissed. Naruto frowned. Kyuubi, he responded with disdain and disgust. I'm hurt. After all the times I saved your life? You should be dead by now, and you know it. You only saved me to save yourself. I owe you nothing. Obnoxious brat. Flea-ridden fox. Touché. What do you want, fox? Naruto asked, clearly agitated. A sneer could be seen in the shadows, a sneer with razor-sharp fangs. I just felt I should warn the little jailer that he's in for one hell of a fight in a few days. You're gonna need my power to win. What'd you say? Naruto spat at the cage before him, no longer shrouded in shadow. Not a chance. I think I can rely on my own strength. Besides, I've got Sakura, Haku, and Kakashi-sensei, he answered. The fox snarled. Ungrateful whelp. Naruto grinned, knowing he found a new hobby in annoying his tenant. Anything else, demon? Kyuubi grunted. You'll be sorry you didn't accept my help. And the eyes of the fox demon vanished, then the fangs, and slowly Naruto was shrouded in darkness once more. Team 7 spent the next several days in recovery in the wolf den, Naruto having no more discussions with the fox. They had managed to ration enough food to eat for several days, Naruto fully recovering after 2 days, Haku 4, and Kakashi a week. As Naruto paced around the den impatiently while his sensei slept, several puppies followed him. This made Sakura giggle. The puppies had grown quite attached to Naruto over the last week, and tried to play with him all the time. Naruto, why don't you just sit down? Haku asked, a smile on his face as he messed with several herbs. Naruto frowned. But I want to get moving. We've been in this place for a whole week. I'm bored, he complained. Sakura sighed. Kakashi still hadn't woken up for more than an hour. Using that Sharingan was a lot of strain on him, yet using both was almost nothing for Naruto. Why that was still puzzled Sakura. Could Naruto's chakra reserves be even higher than their sensei's? Kakashi groaned as he sat up. Naruto bounded over to his sensei. About time, Kakashi-sensei. I was getting bored. Kakashi sighed as he felt his pouch. Dealing with a bored Naruto required some light reading to distract him. Kakashi's eyes widened. Where's my book? Sakura smirked. Oh, the puppies found it.